GCW News.
This is GCW News. Here are the key developments in the Russia-Ukraine war as it enters its 840th day on this Friday, June 14, 2024. The Ukrainian military reports fierce battles near Chasiv Yar, a strategic hilltop settlement in Donetsk, with the situation described as tense. In southern Kherson, a civilian was killed by Russian fire, and another civilian died on the front line near Pokrovsk. In a tragic incident, Russian journalist Valery Kozhin, working for Russia's state-run NTV television channel, was killed in Ukrainian shelling of a Russian-occupied village in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk region. NTV had earlier reported that 3 of its staff, including Kozhin, were injured and taken to the hospital. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin stated that Russia's advance in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region is slowing, and the front line is stabilizing following the lifting of restrictions on Kiev's use of donated weapons inside Russian territory by some allies. The Group of 7, G7 nations, meeting in Italy, agreed to provide $50 billion in financial support to Ukraine by the end of the year, according to Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. This funding will come from profits on frozen Russian assets. U.S. President Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy have signed a 10-year bilateral security agreement to bolster Ukraine's defense against Russia and move Ukraine closer to NATO membership. Additionally, Ukraine has signed a 10-year security agreement with Japan, providing $4.5 billion in aid for 2024 and ongoing support throughout the agreement's term. The United Nations Refugee Agency, UNHCR, reported that about 750,000 people were newly displaced inside Ukraine last year due to Russia's full-scale invasion, with a total of 3.7 million internally displaced people registered by the end of 2023. The number of Ukrainian refugees and asylum seekers increased by more than 275,000 to 6 million. Global Rights Compliance released a report stating that Russian forces deliberately used starvation of civilians as a military tactic during the 85-day siege of Mariupol in 2022. The report accuses Russian forces of systematically attacking objects indispensable for civilian survival and blocking humanitarian aid and evacuation routes. Russian prosecutors will send Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich to trial, accusing him of collecting information for the U.S. CIA about a Russian tank factory. Gershkovich, detained in March 2023, denies the charges. His employer and U.S. President Joe Biden have called the charges false and baseless. In other legal news, the trial of director Zhenya Berkovich and playwright Svetlana Petrichuk in Russia will be closed to the public and media due to unspecified threats to witnesses. The two were arrested in May last year, accused of justifying terrorism over a play about Russian women who married Islamic State fighters. They have pleaded not guilty. German Moises, a lawyer with dual Russian-German citizenship, was detained in St. Petersburg on suspicions of treason, as reported by Russian independent media. The German Federal Foreign Office is in contact with Moises' family. In a show of force, Russia's Admiral Gorshkov frigate and the nuclear-powered submarine Kazan have arrived in Cuba for a 5-day visit amid rising tensions over the invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy announced that Chinese President Xi Jinping assured him in a phone call that China would not sell weapons to Russia. Zelenskyy highlighted this assurance in a news conference in Italy, though he did not specify when the conversation took place. The Dutch Ministry of Defense announced that Kyiv's allies will send approximately 350 million euros worth of 152mm shells to Ukraine. Additionally, Canadian Defense Minister Bill Blair stated that Canada will send about 2,000 surplus unarmed rockets to Ukraine, along with other weapons. This is GCW News, bringing you the latest updates on the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict.